show the number where we're
Okay,
at?
welcome everyone. We're having our pizza workshop session, planning session. Not really planning session, it's a listening session. This is going to be pretty informal, and I know that there's a number of folks on the line, and I'm going to apologize up front. The experience that you're going to have being remote is not going to be as full as you would have in the room, because we are going to be noting things on boards or on papers in the back. And so it's going to be sort of a free-flowing process. I'm going to encourage you to put notes in the chat, because we will, even if we don't see them during this meeting, we will get them collated and pulled and collated and added to the various categories that either Josh or Kent will present in a few moments. The idea that tonight really is that we want to get your thoughts and your ideas. We're not here to solve problems. We're not here to make decisions. We're here to listen to and get your input so that it's more of a free-flowing situation. We are charging for chairs tonight, Betsy, just if you...
Dusty, we have a telephone number online.
Okay, so whoever is a telephone number online, if you could maybe drop your name in the chat so that Sharon can capture it for the notes that go along with this. Again, this is not a regular planning commission meeting. We don't have a quorum, so this is not, we're not taking minutes per se. We're going to be taking notes. It's a little bit different. With that, Josh, are you ready?
As ready as I'm going to be. We've got two kids fighting over a glider airplane right now. So my own participation will be very short, but I think that's a good thing because, as you said, this is, oh, there's the airplane now. This is a listening session, and this came out of two things, basically. Thing one was we had some listening sessions for the town plan over the winter. So we're framing it sort of in that same kind of context and setup. And secondly, obviously, this came from the last two meetings where we heard a lot of citizen concern about the RPD-I in general. So the basic idea for this evening is listening, but specifically, I mean, listening from our perspective, but what we would really like, and Kent will have the categories there, but the idea is to focus on sort of specific categories. Broadly speaking, we've heard a lot about noise and traffic and the buffer, which I also sort of call that congestion, broadly speaking. And then recreation trails, land management as another head. Then industrial uses, economic impact as another head. And of course, the idea of just miscellaneous, if there's something we didn't talk about that people wanted to talk about. The objective, such as it is in the session, is to go through each category somewhat systematically, asking what people see the challenges as, and then what people see as solutions after you have talked about the challenges, and then to sort of wrap it up at the end, because this will all be, I'm not in the room, but it'll all be sort of visual. Kent will be able to put up, Sharon will be able to put up, here's what the challenges are visually, here's what the solutions are suggested. And after this, the idea is potentially to hold more of these, depending on how this one goes. It is altogether possible, as Dusty said, that there are, since this isn't a quorum, nothing can be done tonight, but it is possible that people will see, oh, the challenges that we're facing can be solved by a solution that actually has nothing to do with the planning commission whatsoever. That is a possibility. That certainly is a possibility that zoning doesn't need to be involved.
Oh, no.
There's also a possibility that zoning absolutely would be people's requests and that the planning commission would be deeply involved. My point there is this is an open process, so we don't know. We don't know until we get your input and feedback where this will go next necessarily. So with that, I am going to hand it over to Kent, and I think I still have two sons somewhere in the neighborhood. So I will leave it to Kent, and everyone have fun.
Hang on. Kent's going to, you're jumping ahead of us.
Oh,
And would you like to have comment from the Economic Development Committee and the Conservation and Trails Committee near the beginning, or kind of at the end later? They were both invited to participate. What's your timing for that?
I wasn't necessarily envisioning any specific one. I think if anyone has commentary, this is going to be an open night. So if Conservation Trails, EDC want to make an offer comments, then you can recognize them and have them be heard. But I think it might be better if you introduce the format on how we're going to record things, and then go from there.
Yeah, let me do that first. So
And again, for folks online, it might be a little bit tougher to see everything, but we'll do the best we can, and this will all be captured, and I think we can post it on the Planning Commission site where we normally put agendas.
sorry with my back.
No, that's okay. That gives her a,
Perfect. I can see it. Oh, you can see it. That's the,
and I'm going to go over there again.
okay. What we're gonna try here for like an hour, maybe an hour and a half. I think that'll be plenty of time for this. Is we're gonna start out by coming up with some bullet points, some just ideas, thoughts that we have. We're going to start with me kind of kicking this off up here first with our favorite thing about the RPD-I. What are our favorite things? Go through here, put in some of kind of our highlights, write this down, document this. And then there are 4 other boards in the back that have the topic areas that Josh was just mentioning, where we have kind of a topic area of noise, traffic, the buffer. We have another one that's recreation trails, land management, that kind of theme. Another one that's the industrial uses, the economic impact, sort of the jobs perspective, how this fits into the community, that area. And then, of course, miscellaneous, anything that doesn't fit there. And if you put things in the wrong column, fine, but it would be helpful trying to put the bullet points in the kind of grouping it if possible. If you want to write a lot of information, you can either send emails later, or I have 2 little tablets of paper over here and some pens. So if you want to write pages of information, that's fine too, but let's try to keep these other ones to kind of bullet points. So I'm going to try to do this for not more than like 5 minutes or so that we have plenty of time. There's pizza and food here, and we have a chance to just like mill around then too. So just to kick this off, what are your favorite things? Copy. What are your favorite things about the RPD-I area? We have.
Talking specifically,
Okay. That's a good point. Let me step back. So the Saxon Hill area that's in the Resource Preservation District Industrial is the RPD-I. Sorry about that.
we only have one,
And
we all call it sex.
Yes.
right, yes. So that we have kind of a defined boundary around that area that has the industrial uses that are in there. It has
No, I'm good. No, exactly
you
what
know,
you're talking about.
and even if you have comments that are around the periphery of it, the neighborhood areas around it, traffic issues around it, that's fine. It's just kind of all blended together. But that area, does everybody else know where we're
But is that,
what we're talking about? Yeah.
so do you mean by favorite thing? Things that we like and or dislike?
Let's stick with your favorite things that you like, unless you like things that you don't like. But these in the back are kind of more focused on the negatives, but there's a lot of really positive things over there too. So this seemed like a good way to kick it off. If you don't want to add favorite things, if you don't want to talk about that, that's fine.
My favorite thing is 500 feet of vertical, whatever, but walking up Saxon.
Walking up Saxon Hill to the hill part
Yeah.
on the top. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say the hill because I know what that is, and I will expand on that. Like the hill,
And
the
should
natural,
we-
the walking area, the hiking area.
Like all the hiking.
Yeah, the hiking.
Can I say that the hill might be the 90-acre parcel, maybe?
Yeah, that's school.
The 90-acre part. Okay.
Yes.
Bike trails,
Excellent. And there's a map on the screen now.
the bike trail area.
Yeah.
The hill, the 90 acres. Somebody said the bike trails. Bike trails. The walking trails. It's very flexible. Okay. These are great things. Okay, if that's all we. Yeah.
Well, I live in the area peripheral to that across Sand Hill Road. And what I value is the quiet residential area that seems to be endangered by by the industrial development that seems to be on the table.
You like the neighborhoods that are nearby, the way they are, being
I
nice and
like
quiet. Yeah.
Quiet.
Yeah, they're quiet.
safe,
Yeah. Quiet, safe neighborhoods.
Can I
Okay.
have your name, please?
John Larkin.
Thank you.
I live at 6 Saxon Hollow Drive, right across Sand Hill Road from all of this stuff.
Thanks.
Yeah. Quiet neighborhoods nearby. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Trees.
Who is
And
that?
every time you put a building in, they cut down trees. Keep
Yeah.
the trees.
Yeah.
I like the 200-foot buffers between the industrial park and the residential zoning districts.
Okay. Specifically, the 200-foot buffers.
Well, the 100-foot buffers, they're both wonderful.
Okay. Okay.
I would walk over there, probably. But looking at the IBM site that's off of Thompson Road, I really like how they kept it in with the trees and everything. They have a nice green area, and they have made it so that it fits in with the community.
So the IBM building's a good example of the kind of development you'd
Yeah.
like to see. You like to see.
The type of look of it, because you're going from this harsh, but a harsh area where you've got all the industrialized things, and all of a sudden you reach the parks and everything, where all the activity goes on with the public, and it just seems like it's more of the buildings that were there were set in a way that it was more pleasing to the
Well, you're right, that I used to work in 617,
Uh-huh.
and the nickname of 617 was the country, because you could go up parking lots and you know, for people, you know, yeah, because they didn't let them touch it.
Right.
Every
Exactly.
parking lot had that.
It was well thought out.
Yeah.
All the way in the back. Yep.
Yeah, so the fact that you can go from work to the trail is a pretty cool thing.
So for you, it's convenient. It's close to where you work. A
Yeah.
convenient spot. Yep. Okay. Yeah.
Snowmobile. I don't know. I haven't
You
been
like
up
the
in
snowmobile
years,
trails?
But the snowmobile trail,
Okay.
and it connects to Williston. If it's strong enough, if those trails, those vast trails, are important.
Okay.
You look what's going up in northern Vermont right now, that rail trail. It's being generated on that rail trail, the excitement, the tourism. Because, I mean, obviously it's a different situation. Rail trail. Boy, if we could get some landowners together, that trail goes from Butler's Corners to the high school. You got two property owners. You got a way underneath the surf.
And you're saying that there's already a vast trail there that you like, or you'd like to see improvements
No, there's a vast trail that
that you already love? Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Is there anybody else who hasn't spoken already? Otherwise, I'm feeling this is a great start, and it might be a good time. Anybody online have? I'm supposed to look. Anybody online? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, there's some hands up online.
Okay. Can some, I see Lorraine's. Can we go with Lorraine? Go the map.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you.
Thank you, Ken. I love the trails. I love the trees. I love the vernal ponds. I love that there's wildlife in there. I love every buffer, including the 50-foot buffers. I love when you go down Corporate Drive that there are perfectly scaled businesses that feel like they fit in the resource preservation district. And when other people, I hope, drive down Corporate Drive, because it all seems to fit except for Revision Ware. When you drive past Revision Ware, it's starkly different because it's not only big, but also there's sound that continues to come out of their vent, I think, at the top. So I like the quiet, and I'm not happy that there's businesses that are going in there that have caused a lot of heartache for the quiet neighborhoods surrounding it. I really love that we surround RPD-I with a number of neighborhoods that are quiet, and I would love to continue and build upon recreation for the economic development of our town. Because I'm seeing in terms of where this next generation is, recreation is a huge draw to bring in people and people that in terms of the jobs. I also like the ones that have jobs that are easy to fill, because I think there's some businesses in there that are struggling to fill positions, and I'm not sure how we're checking on that. So yeah, I think that's a lot for you, Kent. Sorry.
That's great, thank you. And for your other comments that may be more of concerns about specific spots and for other people online, make sure you include comments in the chat, and then we'll be able to save that and document that. So
Kent, there is
Yes, and we did put things in the chat, and I just want to make sure. Also that people understand when we talk about buffers, it's not just the big animals. We're talking about insects and things that feed birds. So that's part of not only for the water filtering and other reasons, the trees are so important. And the history behind RPD-I that I love as well is they used to make revenue off of the trees. So I like that part of the history, that it became a revenue bearing area. So I like that. And I also love that's a portion of it that's educational for our school kids. I think that's very important, the educational aspect that we do. I think that's enough.
and who was the other person?
Patty Davis made a comment
I-
in there.
Irene.
And Irene is the next one. Irene, you're up.
Thank you. I saw someone had typed in the chat history. I don't know if you've already got that recorded. They like the history of this area. I like that it's generating some energy there on some of the really bald parts that have been sand extracted in the past. We now have some solar panel generating electricity, some solar panels. I like its aspirational goal 50 years ago. It was to be in harmony with nature. I think that's still a really great goal to have. And I love that residents are involved. You know, some of us weren't born yet. Some of us were little kids when this was actually put together as a plan. Some of us lived here, some of us didn't. But new people, same old people, like people still come to meetings like this and plead for nature. And I just think that that's a wonderful thing in this day and age when so often it's only money and power that talks. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Maybe Ken, I'll go with you.
Two things. I was there yesterday and I was very happy to see 40 cars in the parking lot. Bikers and bike trails. I haven't been there very much. I don't remember the last time I went there. I was really shocked to see just how recreation area it is. Second thing I like, that in about 8 years, the 27 acre parcel that's being sand extracted.
Mhm. Okay, and do I have a next person who hasn't spoken?
So you have a comment in the chat from Patty Davis, area across Hillside Circle for cross-country skiing directly across our hood.
Okay.
Sam likes hiking and biking. Direct access from Saxon Hollow Park. Saxon Hollow Park across opening to. That's why we access trails from our house near Saxon. And we can capture those, Kent.
Mhm. Okay, so I think that we're 20 minutes into the meeting. We have pizza and 4 big pieces of paper in the back. People online have the comments in the chat that they can do. There are tablets up here if you want to write a lot more. And then let's try to take let's say 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes to kind of go around and do this. I'll get your question before we break. To do this, and then we'll come back together at the end to kind of wrap everything up, kind of summarize everything. That'll get a chance from the representatives from the Conservation and Trails Committee and from the Economic Development Committee, get a chance to say something about the area too. We'll just kind of wrap it up then at the end, and we'll just kind of see where we go with the time. And but I think now would be a good time to break. But first, your question or comment.
Yes, thank you. Nils Giddens, town resident. I just thought, since there's been an extensive evolution, the various parcel planning, the colored map, to get everybody on the same page, might be worthwhile for somebody who really knows the color coding to go through that. There have been residential tract proposals within or abutting the parcel.
Mhm.
There have been changes, and I just wondered whether it might be good to have everybody keyed in on what exactly we're talking about, what we're not talking about, and where there may be areas of ongoing discussion.
I think that's a great point, and there are a lot of. Thank you. I think I'm kind of feeling like for our conversation that we're at right now, that's important, but not kind of what we're mostly focused on here. So I think I would have a preference of continuing forward with this part and then come back to that either later or at a different. I don't know if you have a similar feeling.
I would
about
agree
it.
with that.
It's kind of like shifting to a different way of looking at it.
I think we're trying not to get into the details where the measurements are, what's the space tonight. Really, we want to hear what some of your ideas are, and I think what I'm hearing is you would like to know more detail about what's actually on the table. That would, to me, would be a takeaway that we would provide either the written summary or a night to discuss really what's on there.
Actually, I'm just trying to understand whether what we're talking about is all the way to River Road.
No.
Okay, so it would be, can we have the scope of what we're talking
How
about
many
tonight
acres is? how big is this
outlined?
park?
So we'll get
And
them.
there's a person who's trying
I
to.
think
So let again.
I think
There it is.
that's a good idea.
Let's keep it general for tonight, and how many acres it is, and so not necessarily detail we have to nail down tonight, but we would take it away. Well, because the acreage is there, I mean, we could pull out the whatever the.
Is it 100
If I,
acres?
if I could just give you a second and show you here that everything in blue is the RPD-I zone.
Okay,
Light blue.
Like the checkered blue here.
so it's 500 acres.
And of which, and Al probably can speak to this, but roughly speaking,
The entire RPD-I district, the total is 750 acres, of which the portion that I am requesting this zone change is only 130 acres, which is part of the 406 acres that I previously owned and gave up 270 acres to the town when we made the deal. So that's the portion of land that we're talking about right now, the 400 acres, of which 270 that I gave, 130 that I kept, and I'm not going to give you the exact acreage, it might be plus or minus 6 or 5 or 4, whatever. But it's around 270 versus 130 to make the 400. And that's the land mass that we're talking about. Because the rest of the RPD-I district has been either built or is very close to build out.
but specifically, we're talking about the RPD-I, all of it. So the conservation area and the
Right.
industrial.
And
And
can
that
we go
is
with
all in the baby blue. That includes residential.
And Saxon Hill itself, which has the tree thing in it.
Yes.
let's try to do it with
No,
this for the last
tree thing
question.
is the 90 acres, Sharon, that the
Yeah,
town
right.
owned previously.
But-
All right.
I'm just
No, we don't believe the 90.
And 90 acres is the part with the trees.
Oh, right. Open space, yes.
There.
That's the school's
totally
property.
So,
different.
yeah, so when all you
School.
were talking about bike trails and hills, walking,
That-
love it, you're talking about this parcel owned by the school district
As well.
as well.
Yeah, that's on the other side of the little dirt,
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
the gate for the water tower.
So that should, we should now try to bring it back to focus. And so
Yeah,
you know
let's-
the area we're talking about. And it gives you a visual. Is that good news for you?
Yes,
Understand?
but are you saying tonight we're not supposed to really be thinking about the school parcel?
No, what we're saying is, I just wanted to clarify when Sally had said, oh, I like the hills, the trails, I wanted to call out, that's not part of the RPD-I, which this is a RPD-I listening session tonight.
Okay, that's helpful.
Good.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to comment that, people living next to that blue area in the residential, in the grays, like Hillside and Saxon Hollow Drive, we are impacted by anything that goes on there. The truck traffic is growing. We're getting dust in the house all the time. The noise is increasing. And I'm thinking about safety too. There's a children's park right next to our house. And more trailer truck traffic and traffic of every sort is going by that park and behind all of our houses. And that's an impact on us, even if we're not in the acreage you're talking about.
I totally agree, and that's a perfect segue
To get us
into that right there. So you talked about noise, traffic, the trucks. That would be perfect to put on the first one over there. There are pens right behind you on the stool. I think what we should do is,
So this is more of a writing session, not a listening session.
Well, this part of it's right.
well, this part is, and we're trying to collect all of your thoughts, and alternately, I could have each of those up here, and we could now do this for another 20 minutes for the next sheet, and then another 20 minutes for the next sheet, another 20 minutes for. We have 4 other sheets over there. We've only gotten through 1. If you can all write on it, we'll get much quicker. And then at the end of the meeting, we'll get back together, we'll review this. It seems like a more efficient time, and everybody can kind of talk with each other too. So it seemed like this would be a good way to start out.
You
It's
want
kind
our
of like,
names or just,
You could put this isn't so much you're talking to us, right? This is you're talking to your neighbors, you're talking to the other members of the community. That's what this is going to provide. So it's not a discussion just to us, it's a discussion amongst everybody.
The workshop.
Thank you.
Can the people online hear us?
yes.
They can hear, but like I mentioned in the
Little-
beginning, the experience is not going to be quite as rich for the folks online, and that's where they're going to be able to put their comments for each of these headings, and Kent, you should read them off again.
Yeah.
But put their comments into the chat for industrial use. I'm concerned about X, Y, and Z. Traffic, it's X, Y, and Z, and so forth. And we can then memorialize those, pull those out of that chat, and add them to these sheets, so that when we're done with what we do in the room and what they commit to online or present to us online, we'll have 4, 5 sheets of bullet points that we can then represent and say, these are what we've heard. Now, how do we start? What can we address? What do we do? Is there stuff to do? Did I hit that?
Yeah, that's perfect, because then that'll lead into what's our next step that we do. We had a meeting last time. We started off on this. This is the next meeting. This will lead to the following meeting. But this will give us such a wealth of information here, and really be able to document so that, for each meeting, we don't have to put this down again. We'll have this documented, and then we can just move to the next step.
Yeah.
Right.
And how about an idea I'm going to throw out is we ask you to take 15, 20 minutes to do this, and then you mentioned earlier we wanted the economic or trails to speak to us. So let's do this and get your thoughts down, and then let's circle and get the comments that from the other groups that were here and then we'll bring it all back together as best we can, and hopefully we'll start seeing, if not patterns, at least things that we can maybe be actionable.
People online you're going to repeat the topics.
Yeah,
and
so
they
if I can see the people online for just a second, and Josh can help you with this. Thank you. So Josh is online. He can help you with this too. The main 4 categories to be thinking about. Well, fifth, what are your favorite things that you can write in the chat area? The other 4 categories are dealing with noise and traffic is a category to provide information with. The recreation, trails, the land, the nature of the area is another category. The industrial uses and the economic perspective of the area is another category. And then the last one's miscellaneous. Whatever you want to add, anything that's been missed.
And the folks that are online, that would be great.
Well, let me first say that, we don't have a quorum today, so this really isn't an official statement from the committee. We haven't discussed amongst ourselves and said something. This is more of a personal thing.
That works.
I've never really spent much time in this area. I think I've probably been here 3 times maybe. I went yesterday and today, and what surprised me most about the area, and Conservation and Trails Committee is particularly interested in, is the recreational aspect. There was a tremendous amount of use on a weekday evening, 40 odd cars in the parking lot. I was really quite surprised at how many bikers were actually using it, and many of them were not from the area. It would be nice, I think, that the Conservation and Trails Committee would like to see that become a little bit more of a revenue generator for the town, either directly for the town, as in park passes like we have at Indian Brook, for example. There are people that are using the facilities and not contributing at all. Some are. They're paying into the trail maintenance via the Fellowship of the Wheels, but many aren't. I think it's a lost opportunity for sure. And I think that that's a market that also needs to be served. I think one of the new uses that's being requested is convenience store, which I would think a lot of the folks that are there could take full advantage of. That's me. But I think the other members of the committee, Steve and Betsy, should maybe speak for themselves as well.
We have some beautiful trails throughout the town. That area is so underutilized. I mean, when you really hike in there, you can find some hiking trails and you can kind of invent your way around. You quickly become aware of the fact that the biking trails don't lend well to hiking. Okay? They're all over the place. Okay, so I mean, if you follow the trail, you're just, backtracking yourself. But my real point is that there is so much land there, concentrated land away from the bike trails that's just yet to be developed. The idea that we have enough land or too much land, that makes no sense in Vermont. That's not the Vermont way. We have just not realized, we haven't involved enough people. We haven't realized the potential of that area. And just as the bike trails point out, if you open it up and you develop it and you make it friendly for people to go there, they will go there and they will hike in there and it will become even more of a popular spot. People go to Indian Brook because it's easy to find the trail. Okay, beautiful. Okay, but this plot of land, I mean, there are ponds, there are all kinds of things that people are unaware of. Okay, we can do a better job with that.
No, I would agree with that. I'm Betsy Dunn. I think that you have the ponds that we're talking about and the open spaces through the excavation that we have of the sand pit, and that's going to be reclaimed. But we can reclaim it in a way that we create a beautiful park, and the park would be a energy source for its growth. And yesterday when we were over there looking, some of the guys said convenience store, and they said, hell, put a brewery in there and you'll get a lot of people going in. And that's probably true. Some kind of, and a nice restaurant could be on the next parcel or whatever. But, and they would make it attractive. And the one fellow said, it's just Vermont, you come along and you're going through all this steel and metal, and all of a sudden you've got beautiful green stuff. Well, how about we don't just make it so harsh, or you just leave that and then you're at the green stuff. Let's make it pretty as you come into it. There's no reason we can't do that. And the trails, the hiking trails, it's a little bit of a sore point because you had the kiosk for people to look, and there's no map of the trails. Doesn't even say it. And then you go to the other town trails, and there's no maps of the trails. And a lot of that is due to the fact that there are people who have easements on different parts of trails. And when there's an easement there, you really can't map, can't put it on, because then you're attracting people to walk on other people. And so, and that there's several of them that we have. And so that's one of the things that I think we need to do is be a little more assertive about looking at how do we get those easements and what can we do to help them see that this is something that people want and won't be a bad thing. So, then that's conserving. We do have a Saxon Hill management plan already written by our Chittenden County Forester, Ethan Tapper. He may need at this point, because it was done, he did his work in 19 and the results of that came out in 2020. And since then, a lot has changed. And there's a lot more growth that's there in areas that is too dense to walk through. So maybe he needs to come back and refresh that assessment that he did. But I think that we need to consider the uses that we're putting back there. And we can, instead of adding uses, we can take away uses. If it is so harsh and hard for people because where the trucks come in and idle all night, really quite noisy. I remember that. I don't have that now, but I do remember it when I lived in a place where we did have a lot of children. And it's just a sore point, you know, just a sore point. And I don't want to lose the buffers. I want those buffers. Buffers are important.
Thank you. Would you like to say anything from the economic development?
I'm hoping, is Rebecca on? Is anyone from my committee on? Because they were all, I had other things.
I've got Ray.
Oh, is Rebecca on?
Yes, he's on.
I'm here. Hi. I just joined though, so I'm just trying to catch up to see what everybody's about.
And Rebecca, is she there or?
I don't believe Rebecca is on. I just sent her the link. We didn't have the right link, Jane. We have the Teams link.
Oh darn. Okay. Well, do you want me to do a quick overview of what we've talked about?
Sure.
Okay. Okay. I'm staff, so I'm not. From an economic development standpoint in this district, and let's address light manufacturing first. We are a town that lost close to 40% of our grant list recently. Light manufacturing goes a long way to building up our grant list. It's wonderful. The other thing light manufacturing, and I'm not selling light manufacturing against everything else, I'm just sort of saying it. The other thing it does, and as we rebuild manufacturing in this country, and in particular in this town, it provides jobs for our high school graduates, jobs that will pay them enough money to raise a family, jobs that companies will send them to college, and will give them a career. Back in the day when I was, back in the 70s, you all graduated from high school and you went to IBM, and you retired from IBM, and you lived happily ever after everything was paid for. We're never going to see those days, but light manufacturing and these companies will bring that to us. So in the economic development, we want to support that. However, light manufacturing is not residential, and there are conflicts with light manufacturing, and the trucks are a big issue. So we in the committee want to do everything we can to facilitate solving these problems and working with the businesses and working with the residents, because yes, it's a problem. Yes, we should look at it. Let's figure out a way of addressing it and finding a solution. So that's a big part of it. And then the giant part, which is really exciting for me to hear, and I'm telling on Kent, because Kent went to a meeting on recreational development, it's economic development, but you all are hitting the sweet spot. This is a gold mine for recreational development, and it can put Essex on a map. And you want that. You want to be. Why are you going to Essex? You're going to Essex because it's a I'm a tourist. I'm in Burlington. Why do I want to go to Essex? Because there's insane recreational facilities and hiking and biking and everything we want, or ice skating and all of the wonderful things we can do, VAS and cross country skiing. So we have all of this available. And as we build that up, conceivably, we could put in a bike shop somewhere that would help, that would both make us money in the grand list and when a representative Don was talking about restaurants, that we are a state of small businesses. We are populated, 90% of our businesses have under 30 people working for them. About 10% of our business base has to have those large populations of employees. So this kind of a recreational economic development plan really lends itself to building and growing small business, and then advertising all of the other businesses that are here to the people who are coming. And then we become a destination. So I think, so from our point of view, it's recreation is economic development destination point. Light manufacturing and rebuilding is crucial to our economy and crucial to our kids. We've got to marry them together. And then when we get that, we'll have a sustainable situation where hopefully our kids will graduate, go to work in one of our wonderful light manufacturing, have enough money to raise a family, and also go to college, and also stay here and live instead of fleeing because there's no place else to go. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Thank you. And do you have anybody else from the EDC that would like to say anything? Or
I'm hoping, Ray.
I'm here. Hi, thank you. Sorry, I'm off camera, just because I was in the yard and I'm not presentable to be on camera. Apologies. I've been meeting back to back, and then I had an hour to get out in the yard. No, I agree with a lot of what Jean has said. I will also say that the EDC is in kind of transition right now. So we're, losing some members, and with the separation, there's been a lot of vacancies. So we are really committed and have talked a lot about spending a lot of time as soon as, the new members are appointed, to talk and do some strategic planning on prioritizing. And actually, Rebecca at the last meeting, or the one before, brought up this idea of capitalizing on the trails and, bringing food trucks and really making the amazing resource that we have a destination here, and marrying it with everything else we have in Essex that's going on. I mean, I have friends from Burlington that are now coming to Essex. So I think we have started something that we can build on. So I'm really hopeful that there's a lot of opportunities here. I hear the challenges with the manufacturing, but as Jean just stated, there are benefits too. So how can we strike a balance to use the benefits, but also make sure we're protecting our resources, our natural resources, and the tourism industry that Vermont is so well known for, and becoming a destination. So I'm excited about the opportunities we have, but we need a little bit of kind of forming time in this next month or two. We're planning a full day strategic planning session in the fall to kind of early fall to kind of set our priorities, and a lot of what I'm hearing talked about are going to be included in those.
great, thank you. Anybody else from the EDC?
I don't see any hands up.
Okay. Fantastic. So maybe what I'll do, we're at 7:15 right now. I think what I'd like to do is get a chance to read through what everybody wrote. That'll also make sure that I can read it, and I know what you've written. Yes. Is that better? Thank you. So I'm going to read through it. I'm going to try to do this pretty quickly. Make sure that I have it right, and I just get a chance to share it with everybody. And maybe we'll have a couple minutes at the end if you have other things to add or anything like that. This will also give a chance for the people that are viewing online that they can hear what was discussed. Maybe after we get through this really quick, Josh, if maybe you or somebody else online wants to look at the chat and supply anything else if you want to, we'd have a little bit of time, or we can just save that and compile it later.
I was going to say, Kent, let's target 7:30, because we've been here for about an hour and a half, and this has been a really productive session. Let's go through it like you said to get clarity on what's written, and then I'd like to ask you and Sharon and maybe Josh to take a look at everything and bring this back together, and then we'll pick a time that we can present this again and present it as these are what we've heard, this is what we've heard, and we can figure out what we might be able to come up with some action items from some of that. Some of it's going to be Parks and Rec, you know, we can hand it off to them. Some of it's going to be what do we need to know more in order to address some of these comments.
All right, here we go. So for the noise traffic buffer concept area, the first comment is increasing traffic, especially larger trucks, the result of noise, pollution, lots of dust in the residential areas, safety concerns because heavier of the truck traffic near the children's park over at Sand Hill Road. Great topic. I think that encapsulates a lot right in there. That was pretty clear to me, and I was able to read it great, so that was good. Concerns about traffic increases, the roads that were not designed for the semis. That's a great topic. We have a lot of roads that are functioning now really way above how they were originally designed to be, functioning in the beginning. So that's a good topic to have there. Air pollution, noise, water pollution, new roads built to town standards, designed to handle the increased traffic. It's a good point. Buffers in the zone are larger than any others in the town and in the town plan. So that's just making a statement that that there are very large buffers that are here. Got it. Pedestrian-friendly ways to avoid heavy traffic. For example, year-round cleared paths along Allen Martin and serving residents along Route 15. I think it's really important that we figure out a way that we have the network of pedestrian facilities so that you can safely get through there, whether you're going along the road or across roads. Good that somebody wrote that down. Traffic light needed at Route 15 and Sand Hill Road and at Route 15 and Allen Martin. I'm going to look into, I think there may be a couple traffic signal projects that are kind of in the pipeline. I don't know exactly the details, but I'll have that information for the next meeting so that I'm ready to say something about that.
And expect too, some of these topics are going to go to Public Works, you know, because they're the folks. We start talking about road specs and traffic lights and stuff, but that's outside of the PC's purview.
Yeah.
And frankly, it's outside of this group of staff. They collate. But expect that some of these topics are going to go out to the other departments and get some, factual information coming back in.
But the planning commission is able to, going forward in the town plan, to say these are the things we want. Like if we had said, the forester said, our town forester, tree warden had said that most of the green belts are too small, that 3-foot size green belt is so small that a tree cannot be supported in that, and that's why you get the buckling on all of the sidewalks, because the tree actually needs more room. And that's why we're putting the trees now on the inside, on the side of the landowners' home. But those are the kind of regulations that you could make that make the green belt bigger or smaller and not use it.
And just that's true. Be aware that many of the recommendations for when we start talking roads, roadways, right-of-ways, don't come from the planning commission. They come from the public works specs. So there's more layers to this than just this group. Mm-hmm. The plan is a vision, and you're helping to craft that vision. But there are regulations, obviously, that we have to fall under, and they're not just ones that we obviously can change. So you're right. This is a vision step.
And I would add to that when we do have trees planted on private property, we have to get an easement for that so it's there for its lifetime. So if we don't grab that easement and we don't require them in the right of way, people can cut through.
I think it's worth remembering too, tonight, we're not trying to solve things tonight, right? We're just trying to get a bullet list.
And I think that's a good topic, and I wrote down for miscellaneous the road design standards because that is an important topic, and we will make sure we don't forget about that. For the recreation trails, land management topic, these were the things on here. Adventure park idea, biking for mountain bikes. Open the park, keep all the trails. Is it just supporting that they're keep the park going? I need to add anything else that encapsulates it. Thoroughly crafted bike trails involve public investment in the maintenance and development. Good. Okay. Since the conserved land has been turned over to the town, recreation has increased for the good of the community. Good point. Because of ethical development, the town has benefited from a place for recreation. Okay, up to that. Use as a part of a designated trail system from Essex to Jericho, etc. That's great. Trying to link what we have to all the other mountain biking, fast trails, hiking trails.
Rail
That's
trails.
a great topic, and there's another whole thing on the side that I've been trying to work on with that. So that's on my radar screen. Thoughtful and professional forest reforestation management. Great. I'm glad that was in there. And improved signage. That's last, and it's written small, but that's actually super important. So I'm glad that's there. That's easy to forget about, those little details that actually make a really big impact when somebody's trying to use it. Like, so for instance, I'm going to actually just add online too, right? Before you go somewhere, how do you know what you're getting when you get there? You know, having something ahead of time. So if you have trouble walking or using a wheelchair, you know before you get there, is that something I can participate in or not? So that's really helpful to have it information ahead of time. Okay, next topic, industrial uses and the economic impact. The conserved area is too large. Exactly what are we conserving? The area is not particularly beautiful. We need to focus on other areas in the town. Okay, good. Okay, that's good to have. I think that rounds out sort of the range of comments that we're getting, and that there's a very wide spectrum of how people feel about land. So that's fantastic to have that comment. If we get the park, brewery across the street, and a built-in easement for the trail that goes to the vast trail. Industrial development and uses have increased. The tax base for the town. Thank you. Good development. Yes, of course. If potential.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll once I've said it, I can listen to the recording later. If potential businesses are forced to relocate in other towns because
Uses aren't allowed.
Uses aren't allowed. Okay, so this is my uses aren't allowed.
You have to read that one again.
Yeah.
Negative economic.
We'll let you restart.
I'll rewrite it, maybe.
Okay, wait. Potential businesses. If potential businesses are forced to relocate in other towns because the uses aren't allowed, this has a negative economic impact for all the citizens of Essex.
Got it. Sorry about my
Okay, no, that's okay. It is hard to write on. That's
And do you want to explain to them what the person is talking about with that?
I think
Let's-
it will be a meeting.
Yeah, finance.
I think for every one of these is a conversation. Every one of them. So I don't want to discount or I just want to make sure we get through this. But those I'm glad that I made sure I understood those. For miscellaneous, okay, I wrote the road design standards that you mentioned. That's an important one. Air pollution from the trucks, solar panels should be on the flat roofs. I'm assuming it's wanting to see more. I'm guessing, not that that's a bad thing, but people want to see more. Better landscaping in front of buildings, ethical development with a combination of conserved land and increased potential uses can benefit citizens economically and the natural environment. finding that right development balance. And truck idling, especially at night, that's been definitely a concern that has come up. Okay, so that wraps up the comments that people have made. We are about 5 minutes before.
Let's see if Josh has anything to wrap up. And then
Josh, do you have anything?
One thing I did want to say is I wanted to assure everyone who's online, and you may have already seen it, Kent and Sharon, I have made a Google Doc of all the online comments and shared it with you.
Great.
Fantastic, thank you. I wasn't following.
Yeah, that's no other closing thoughts than that.
So I guess I'd like to just say thank you for everyone that's participated. This is a departure for us from our normal process. This is a new, hopefully, an ongoing way of doing things, getting some information up front. I believe that our next step is to collate these things, get these lists established, and then see what we can do. See if there are areas in the staff that can look at these, whether it's Public Works, Parks and Rec, and see if there are folks that can provide commentary internally on this. We're going to be looking for economic input maybe more specifically based on what we see in these documents. This is not the last time that any of us are going to see this. We're doing this for the town plan. So this is the visionary step. From that will be coming potentially any regulation changes or no regulation changes. Again, it all depends on what the vision goes to drive. We have requests to make some changes. Maybe we'll have some requests from the town to make other changes. Not just a developer and a landowner's request, but also the folks who are using it. That's what part of what this process is hoping to drive. So we want people invested in this. We want people participating in this, and we have. For folks online, I would just encourage you. I know this has probably not been the most engaging meeting that we've had, but again, this sort of forum really lended itself well to exchange. There's a lot of conversations going on in the room, which were great. And I would just encourage the next one of these that we have, I would encourage anyone who can be here to please be here. And we're going to all be better out from whatever we get out of this. We're all going to be better for it. I think this is our next round is to move forward and see where we get. Any last questions or thoughts real quick before we go? Anybody online want to add something real quick?
No hands.
The comment from Patty, it was a great event online. Thank you for doing this. Okay, so let's wrap it up for tonight. Again, this is a great workshop, and really thank you folks for coming out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Adjourned 7:27.